talk about working in the shadow realms. Okay, so I just got off of a client session, and you ever have one and you're like, oh dang, I forgot that was me in the past. So the shadow realms, when you're working with people, is you are perceiving really intense trauma and PTSD, okay, within them. And you are utilizing a lot of transmutation and alchemization work that takes a lot of energy on your end in order to do that with others, because there's a lot of layers of consciousness that you are needing to work through, okay? Because typically when people are in this stage, they are not necessarily the beginning stages of their ascension journey, but they are closer to the beginning. And so they haven't been spending as much time with the self-awarenesses as some others, right? And everybody's different on their journey. That's not like a good thing or a bad thing. It's just is what it is, right? It's like when you don't know anything about inner child healing, and then all of a sudden you do, and it's just a completely different level of healing, okay? And I was explaining that when I was in that phase of that very deep shadow work within self, and then I was working with other people, it was so beneficial because I was constantly having a mirror reflection of myself. Because all of the clients I have ever worked with, or even like friends and things like that, have always been a younger version of me energetically. And it really helped me work out my own things because I was constantly hearing my own advice and I was needing to take it so that I could practice what I preach. I need to find a different analogy for that, okay? Like if you have a different analogy than practice what you preach, I would love to hear it. But it was really beneficial during those times. But then as I got deeper into my journey, I had this shift where I realized that I was actually keeping myself in these lower vibrational states by working in these realms. Like once it really served me, but now I was actually subjecting my inner children and teens to a lot more pain and trauma than they needed to experience. Now, part of that is because in the past, at the beginning stages of my journey in helping others, I didn't have as good energetic boundaries as I do now. And so I tended to take on a lot of other people's pain in order to transmute that for them. And I realized along my path that that is not serving you and it's not serving them. People need to work out their own stuff because they need to learn how to do that for self. Like if you are constantly putting band-aids, and that happens to a lot of empaths and light workers, is we're putting band-aids on other people's pain, right? They're not learning how to transmute that within self. And that it makes them end up having to go to healers and mentors and teachers and guides like constantly. Like that's good, we love that, but you got to have your own tools and resources, right? Because that's when the deep work starts happening. Like other people are great to help you with things, but you help yourself more than anything else, right? Or support yourself. And so when I got to the stage in my journey and in my business, and I said, I don't want to do that work anymore. I have already raised my vibration and frequency up so high past those stages that I used to be in that is actually doing a disservice to me and a disservice to said persons to be working with them, because we're completely on different wavelengths. Like we're using different languaging. I'm not able to offer them the same tools and resources that I needed when I was in those places and spaces because I have new ones. Right? So it's lovely that we want to be able to help every single person that we can. I get it. Okay, as empaths and light workers, so you're like, well, I want to help all the babies. Okay, but everybody is on different stages in their path, and sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to let go. Okay, let go of things that are no longer in resonance, even within the healing scape. Because when I was talking to this client, I said, I have already put in all that work. I have already done all that, and I helped so many people going through that process. But now I want to do lighter frequency work. I want to be the whimsical, magical fairy that comes in and tells your inner children and your teens, like, hey, we don't need to continuously dig through all this trauma and PTSD. Like, there's a point that we hit where we're just picking at things that don't need to be picked at, and they've already lived through it once. Okay, and I'm not saying we don't need to do shadow work. Okay, we need to do that. Okay, but This is a different style of healing. This is helping your inner children, your teens, feel seen, heard, and validated for the experiences that they did have. And not just feeling seen, heard, and validated. Like, they can feel that I have experienced similar things. Okay. Like, they're like, oh, no, she gets it. Okay. Maybe they have never been able to tell somebody in full totality what they experienced and feel at the core of their being that somebody gets it. And in holding that sacred space, they're able to just let go of it. We don't have to sit there and talk about it. Okay, in depth. We don't have to dig through all the memories. It's like, oh no, like, you're still unconditionally loved. You are magical. You are special. Let me help you see beyond all of the filter lenses and the distortions that you have incurred from PTSD and trauma and capitalism and religious and cultural and societal programming and all these different things. Let me show you a true mirror reflection of yourself underneath all of that. Let me help remind you of who you actually are, your sparkly, magical self. Okay. And that is the work that I love to do now. And I was explaining that there are people who love helping people with heavy PTSD and trauma stuff. And that was me in the past too. Like, that really made me feel just so whole in my being. And then one day I woke up and I was like, oh, that's not for me anymore. But there's still so many people who love doing that work. That is their jam. Okay? That gives them so much joy and happiness. Let them do that. Okay? You're not abandoning anyone. And sometimes as healers, we feel that we're like, oh no, if I let go, nobody's going to be there to catch them. There's always going to be there. Okay, there's going to be somebody there to catch them. Okay? You're just ready to move into a different phase to be helping a different collective of persons. Okay? And that is totally okay. There's nobody that's saying you have to do this or you have to do that. We need to do what is in resonance with our soul, while also checking our own abandonment wounds, okay? Because that's typically why we hold on to these things that we know aren't a frequency match for us anymore, because we're like, I know what it feels like to be abandoned. I don't want them to feel that way, okay? But again, your frequency and your vibration might be too far away from said persons to actually help them on the depth level that the shadow realm workers can help them with. And everybody has a different purpose and a path, and it's okay to shift and change. So I want to come on and share that, because that was a really not heavy time in my life, but it was a lot of internal strife and turmoil that I was feeling and experiencing, of letting go of that identity that had served me for so long, and just saying like, girl, let go. Okay, we can help people in such a different capacity if we just allow ourselves to do that. We give ourselves a permission slip. And as soon as I did that, I started having a completely different community and collective, and a lot of my community and collective that I had then actually shifted up in that frequency with me as well. But it just felt so much more in resonance with where I was at in life, and currently where I'm at in life. I just like coming in and mirroring like, hey, this is your true self. Like, that brings me a lot of joy now, just the lighter frequency things. And also get in there with you with some trauma stuff too. Like we can still do that, but not on like the intensity levels that I used to do it. Anyway, I love you so much. I hope you have a great day, and it's filled with magic and wonder and awe.